All right, so today's lesson is on polynomials. This is just an introduction, so this is basically the start of Unit 5. So we're just going to define some terms. Our first term that we are going to define is a monomial. So a monomial is just one term. Mono means one. So when you have a monomial, you have one term. An example could be 3, or another example, 4x, or 7x cubed. Okay, so monomials are joined with multiplication. Okay, and you learned to call these terms. These were just terms. Okay, a constant is just a number. A constant is just a number. That means it has no variable. So constants, examples of constants, any number, -2, 7/3, 5, 2.4. Okay, those are examples of constants. A polynomial is having more than one term. So has more than one term. And so what happens is your monomials, remember those are terms, so your monomials are joined with addition or subtraction. That's how a polynomial is created. It's just a bunch of monomials joined with addition or subtraction. So an example, I'm just going to go up to my monomials from above. And what if I joined 7x cubed with a subtraction sign to 4x with an addition sign to the number 3? So this is an example of a polynomial. Another example, how about 3x cubed minus 4y plus 7? Here's another example of a monomial, okay? So polynomials are just monomials or terms joined together with addition or subtraction. All right, so let's talk about a little bit more vocabulary. So the monomials that make up a polynomial are called the terms of the polynomial. And in the polynomial here, x squared plus 2x plus x plus 4, you'll notice that you have two terms. You have a positive 2x and a plus x. These are the same type of terms. These are called like terms, so they can be combined. Why? Because they are, like terms. They can be combined because they are like terms, okay? So when I take 2x and I add it to 1x, I get 3x. So the polynomial x squared plus 3x plus 4 is called a trinomial. This is a trinomial because it has 1, 2, 3 unlike terms, 3 terms that cannot be joined together. It's a trinomial. A polynomial such as 5y cubed plus y squared is called a binomial because it has 2 unlike terms. I cannot take 5y cubed and join it with the y squared. Okay, so maybe just a little note on like terms. A little note on like terms. Remember, they have to have the same variable with the same power. So if they don't have the same exponent, you can't join them, okay? All right, so the degree of a polynomial is determined by the powers on the variables. So the degree of a polynomial is the degree of the monomial in the polynomial, so the term in the polynomial with the largest degree. So if I were to look at each one of these terms, This variable has an exponent of 2, so this monomial is degree 2. This term has a variable with an exponent of 1, so this is degree 1. And this has no variable at all, so that means that this is degree 0. If I look at the next, so this whole polynomial is degree 2 because it's the largest degree term. So if I were to check this polynomial out, my first term has a variable with a 3 power on it, so it's degree 3. This is degree 2. I name it by the largest degree, so this is a degree 3 polynomial. So we're just going to look at a couple of examples and identify the degree on each polynomial. So first term, second term. Okay. So remember, degrees are just the variable exponents. So 2 plus 3 is 5. Remember, this has a 1 on it. 1 plus 2 is 3. So this whole polynomial takes the degree of the largest term, degree. So this is a degree 5. When I look at this next example, P has a power of 2, Q has a power of 4. So this term is degree 6, but this term is degree 7. So remember that the degree of the polynomial comes from the largest degreed term in the poly. So this is going to be a polynomial that is degree 7. My last example. So 3 plus 2 plus 1 is degree 6, and this doesn't have any variable term, right? No variable term. And really it could have any variable, but it's to the power of 0. Remember, any number to the 0 power is 1. So that's essentially saying 5 times 1. So this is degree 0. So this polynomial is degree 6. Okay? This polynomial is degree 6. So let's look at some examples of monomials. Monomials are things like x, 3x, a constant 2, maybe 2x to the power of 4, maybe 1/3 x, x divided by 3, which is the same thing as 1/3 x, 3x squared. So all of those are examples of monomials. Things that are not monomials, when you have a variable underneath a radical. So you have the variable under the radical. That is not a monomial. If you have the variable in the denominator, that is not a monomial. And when you raise the variable to a negative exponent. Why? Well, because remember, when you have a negative exponent, that means you drop it positive, and again, you have a variable in the denominator. So no negative exponents on the variable. Okay. All right, so let's look at the polynomials, and we're going to determine, first of all, if it's a polynomial or not, and then if it is, we're going to state the degree. So this is a polynomial, doesn't violate any of the rules that we have under the no monomial term, right? So I want to look at the degree of each term, degree 2, degree 1, degree 3. So this is a third degree poly. Yes, ma'am. I'm making a video. Okay. That's okay. I'm sorry. I'll be real quick. This is not a poly, right? This is not a polynomial because of this guy right here. When I look at this example, this is just a bunch of monomial terms being added or subtracted. So this is a polynomial, and it is degree 3. This one is not because I have a variable underneath the radical. All right. So we're going to classify our polynomials. And the first thing that we're going to do is I'm going to tell you the name of them based off of their degree. And then we're going to name them based off of the number of terms. So this right here is degree 0 because there's no variable with an exponent. And anything that is degree 0 is called a constant. And that makes sense because that's just a number. This variable is only raised to the power of 1, so it's degree 1, and this is called linear. This variable is raised to the power of 2, so this is called a quadratic. This is degree 3. This is called a cubic. Degree 4 is called a quartic. Degree 5 is called a quintic. And anything other than that is called, whatever the number is, degree poly. So if I had something like 3x to the 6th, that would be a 6th degree. We just name it by the degree. It doesn't have a special name, okay? So now let's look at the number of terms. So I'm still using 6 as my example. So 6 has one term, that's called a monomial. If it has 2 terms, it's called a binomial. One term, again, monomial. 3 terms, trinomial. 2 terms, binomial. 4 terms, anything more than 3. So 4 or more is just called a polynomial. So now we're going to name each of these polys based off of their degree and their number. So this is called a constant monomial. Whoops, I spelled that wrong. Hang on a second. So this is a constant monomial. So I'm referring to the number 6, okay? The number 6 is a constant monomial. The next example, x plus 3, it is called a linear binomial. Our next example, 3x squared, is called a quadratic monomial. Our next one, the 2x cubed minus 5x squared minus 2x is called a cubic trinomial. So we're naming it by the degree and the number of terms. Every polynomial is named by the degree and the number of terms. The next one is called a quartic binomial. And our last one is called a quintic polynomial. I'm finishing up right now. No, you're totally fine. So your homework for today is going to be to classify the polynomial worksheet. Make sure you're watching this video, taking notes, and then just quiet while your classmates finish up their test. Thank you.